talk about some sports news, some NFL sports news. That's what our segment is called temporarily until we come up with a better segment name. But for the NFL anyway, we got Bill O'Brien being fired after 4 weeks of taking the Texans to 0-4. We got Dwayne Haskins being benched in favor of Kyle Allen, and the Titans' COVID situation just keeps getting worse and worse. So, which of these do you guys want to talk about?
I've got
first?
one.
Go ahead.
Because I want to mention this. Let's talk about Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins didn't get just benched. Dwayne Haskins went from the potential starter, not the potential, the Ron Rivera saying, this is my guy, starter, to we've backing him to the third string quarterback.
Right.
Not just benched, he's the third string quarterback. That is a big deal. I don't know what's going on down there with that awful organization with the TBDs that they have ran for the last decades, whatever. But I feel bad for the guy. It was too soon. Dwayne Haskins, has he been elite? No. Has he been good? He's been average. But you're not going to get rid of a young guy and kill his confidence, I think, doing that. I don't think Kyle Allen is going to put you over the edge. If it was Alex Smith right off the bat, I would really get this move this early. The only real, you just hurt the guy. At least see what you have in him. Give him a full season. At least Mitch Trubisky got a full season and more. Like, at least give Dwayne a full season. If you're awful, go get Trevor Lawrence and send it out then. But this is ridiculous. My only idea is that Ron Rivera thinks Kyle Allen, knowing his system already, being a young guy and having made some decent plays when he was with when Cam got hurt last year, I just think maybe they think, hey, maybe we can take the division with him until Alex is ready because the division is so bad and they're only like a half game back. They might feel that that Dwayne's not going to do it, but Allen might. I don't know. That's the only real reason I can justify it. But poor Dwayne.
I think it's a bad move, to be honest. And I love Ron Rivera, and Dwayne Haskins hasn't been that good, but I think Kyle Allen's just flat out worse than him. He had, on a per throw basis last year for any quarterback that started a decent volume of games, by far the most turnover-worthy plays occurring the most often, and that's with Jameis Winston throwing 30 interceptions, but he also wasn't going to throw 30 touchdowns. They won a few games early in that season when they switched to him, and I think it was just a vibe thing. It was not because Kyle Allen, I don't think, is that talented. I hope Alex Smith takes over, and honestly, if Alex Smith takes over and isn't that good, guess who might be coming to town next year? Cam Newton. Ron Rivera, Cam Newton. They might move off. They don't need to. They can move off. They can move off of Haskins. They can move off of.
So you think if Cam balls out? What if Cam balls out though? Continues to ball out with New England? Why don't they just keep him in New England?
Because what if they don't want to pay him? I'm not saying it's the likely possibility, but I think it is potential if Washington doesn't lose enough games to be in kind of potentially the Lawrence and Drew Lance sweepstakes, and Cam Newton becomes a quarterback and they go through all three of these guys and none of them look that great. Ron Rivera and Cam Newton love each other and could be an interesting kind of thing there. So
or they get Trevor Lawrence.
Something to keep your eye on potentially, because if they plugged him in and whipped that defense to be pretty good, could be a decent team.
And if Alex Smith comes back, though, and balls out, that team might take the division. Hope not.
Oh, it's true. I kind of hope Alex Smith comes back and plays good.
Me too, even though I don't like the TBDs. Kyle?
Yeah, I'm just in the same boat as you guys. I think it's kind of a move that is a bit too soon. Yeah, he's not playing great football necessarily, but I think the dude's trying and working really hard, harder than most rookie QBs, at least in the past couple of years. We've seen a lot of them not work as hard as this guy has, at least when I've been looking into him anyway. It seems like he's doing a really good job at improving his body and improving his QB skills, though they're not showing up on the field, unfortunately. Yeah, it must be either a decision within the organization, which again is just another thing that doesn't make sense about them. Again, it's a bit too quick of a move, I think. I think you still need to give this guy more time to adjust. especially in this year. This year's just nuts to begin with. So yeah, I'm bummed. I wanted him to keep trying to improve himself, and maybe Kyle Allen will still play bad and Dwayne Haskins will get the start again. I don't know. We still don't know how Alex Smith is doing, if he's fully ready to be back on the field yet, though he's activated. I don't know. So that one's a bit disappointing.
Also, you know what's odd? Oh, you go first.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Dwayne Haskins had what? Didn't he have like 3 new head coaches within like a year and a half or something like that? I read
Jake Gruden, the other guy, and
he went through a bunch of. Even if you're a backup at that point, like you're relearning a whole new offense too, and that changes the entire narrative too. Their organization is bad. They've got one of the worst receiving cores. They haven't had any real consistency at running back outside of an 82-year-old Adrian Peterson that they had for 2 years. I also feel bad for him there because it's the same kind of feeling with Sam Darnold, and I like Darnold more, but it's like they've been destroyed by coaches too, so how do we even know if they're good? Like, obviously, some talent are going to take over, but some guys might need that coach to be great, like a Flacco who got that year, who had a couple great years. I just wanted to point that out. But go ahead,
Yeah,
Nick.
well, kind of bouncing off that real quick before my other point. Haskins, it was kind of a project coming in, and I know Ron Rivera wasn't there when they drafted him, but like if you put Haskins on the Buffalo Bills, I bet you he's balling out right now. Maybe not as good as Josh Allen, but I bet you he's putting up a lot better numbers. This guy is a project. He needs development, and he needs people to trust in him. And not saying he would ever pan out, but this is certainly not helping his progress. I think certainly making things worse. And I think it's odd for Ron Rivera. Why is he sticking with Kyle Allen when Kyle Allen was the quarterback that got him fired, basically? Like, Cam Newton gets hurt, Kyle Allen comes in, and they fall apart throughout the season after they win a couple of games. And then Ron Rivera gets fired at the end of the season. And then he brings Kyle Allen back, and he's like, this is the guy that I want starting for my team.
I don't know if Kyle Allen's the full reason he gets fired. I don't think
it's not, but it's just an odd thing. I think.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I think it's more on Cam's injury,
but you couldn't win with this guy on a team that was just as talented as this Washington team is right now.
Oh, they're more talented.
Definitely more. Well, there was more offensive talent last year in Carolina. At least Christian McCaffrey was a good player. I mean, I know Terry McLaurin's decent.
Great player.
McLaurin's great. I love him.
But I just think it's an odd choice to go to Allen, and I hope. The best thing I can think of is that they think Alex Smith is going to be ready in a few weeks, and they're just going to see if something pops with Allen. If not, they're going to roll with Alex Smith, and if so, they could win a few games.
I wonder if Alex Smith isn't ready. He might not be fully ready yet, or they might have just gone right to him.
Well, I mean, we saw Derek Carr struggle heavily after he didn't have as bad of an injury to the leg, but he struggled. I mean, he's still not been the same.
No one's ever come back from this injury that Alex Smith has had. It's either ended careers or your career ends.
Yeah, but anyway. Alex Smith's had a weird career where he's, was not very good for a long time and turned himself into a quality quarterback. So I believe in the guy.
He was average. All right, Kyle, what do you think since the boys took over here, the brothers took over?
No, I'm still on the same page as you guys with it all. Even if Rivera thinks it's a decision to win a bad, division in general, like it just doesn't seem like that's really necessary. I feel like it still is a building year for them, and even if they win the division, okay, so what? It's a bad division, and it's not really proving us anything. So it's just one thing after another with this decision where I just am scratching my head going, what purpose does it serve? I just think it just doesn't seem right across all levels. That's all I have to say about it. But with that said, what do we think about the Texans deciding to fire GM and head coach Bill O'Brien?
I just hope Bill O'Brien got to take the bag of Cheetos he got for Nuke with him. Like that's just all. That's the first thing I hope is that he even. No, I think Watson ate them all and just stared at him in spite. Get him out of there. I like Bill O'Brien enough as a coach. He's been an awful head coach. He's been a horrible GM. I mean, he's been Chip Kelly bad. He might be been worse than Chip Kelly bad as a GM. There's only one guy who's been able to be a coach and a GM, a head coach and GM, and it's Bill Belichick. Nobody else has been able to really do it successfully. Get him out of there. I low-key kind of hope because he is a good offensive coach, I think. and he's had great years when he's had the weapons. I kind of want Philly to bring him in as an OC because I think we're missing that structure for just a good OC coach because we have all these guys doing weird stuff. I wouldn't mind an outside guy coming in to kind of help right the ship, but if he doesn't, we'll get into our teams in a minute here. I'm not dying for it, but it's something I wouldn't mind happening. But yeah, they needed to get rid of him. Doing it this early is a bit of a shock, but now you've got the rest of the season to figure out who the heck's going to be your coach and where you want to take your team. The fact that J.J. Watt and the D coordinator are getting into shouting matches with Bill O'Brien before the game is not good. He ran himself out of that town with his record. Josh McDaniels going there shouldn't happen. I don't think Josh McDaniels is a good coach either, actually, or a great head coach anyway. But yeah, I think they need to get the Ravens OC. I've been chanting that for a year. I think they need to get him. But
Rick Roman.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I think this was the right decision. I mean,
yeah.
Over the years, we kind of saw some baffling decisions made by Bill O'Brien as a head coach, but even bigger head scratchers as a GM. And the fact that the Texans decided to give him a chance to be the GM has always been weird to me. And it clearly showed with all the trades that he made, trade away guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Dwayne Brown, Jadeveon Clowney, and picking up, getting back Brandon Cooks and David Johnson, but it still isn't helping your team at all necessarily. Like there was never any things that he never made any good decisions, I don't think, is what I'm trying to say, whether he was the GM or the head coach. I'm really hoping that this means that the Texans organization have learned their lesson and they understand that you need to hire a GM and a head coach, and you got to make sure that these two are going to be on the same page right from the get-go. And I think a lot of upcoming possible GMs and head coaches are really going to look at the Texans organization first when it comes to new job openings because of Deshaun Watson. The fact that they got a young stud of a quarterback is going to be so appealing. Plus, they still have some good pieces there to where it's not like a major rebuild, but they just need to be on the same page in order to make sure that they can get on the right track with this team. Because this team is, we've seen it happen with Bill O'Brien. They're a fringe playoff team, like they get to the wild card divisional rounds, but yet they can't win beyond that. But I really think they can push it if they have the right guys in charge, and they just didn't have that for many years, and now they could really do that, especially with Deshaun Watson. So I think it was the right call. Hopefully Bill O'Brien bounces back, learns from his mistakes, becomes a coordinator with someone, maybe the Eagles, but otherwise this was good for the Texans. Even if it was week 4, this made more sense, unlike the Dwayne Haskins thing. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, long time overdue. Thank goodness. I was nervous that Deshaun Watson, the rest of his career, was going to be held in mediocrity, where he's going to be in the shadow of Lamar Jackson and Patty Mahomes because of his coach and organization really holding him back. Honestly, another head coach potential is Kansas City's offensive coordinator.
Yep,
he should already have a job as a head coach, so he would be awesome. And I think it might take a year or two after this year for them to really recover from what Bill O'Brien has done back to a full contender, because he's made some terrible decisions. He's been one of the worst play callers in situational football in the NFL for years, so thank goodness he's gone. I've heard he's a good guy. That's all I'll say. Like I hope he can turn it around as coordinator somewhere, because you don't wish bad on someone. But it's been long overdue. So I'm excited for Deshaun Watson and the Texans' future now, and I hope they get a good head coach and establish a culture, because Deshaun Watson can take a team to the Super Bowl. He just needs a little more talent, really.
Our schedule takes don't work now, because now they're going to get some versatility back, huh?
Well,
they're supposed to not have it the rest of the year.
We don't know that. I mean, maybe it gets worse.
Look, they'll get it back with any coach.
Yeah, all bets are off at this point. Let's just see what happens with the rest of this year. That's what the Texans are probably thinking. Let's see what we got.
Yeah. Should we rattle through COVID real quick?
Yeah, so Titans, they're getting COVID all over the place now. Apparently, they're also having practices away from the stadium, which probably has
some
led
high
to
school.
Yeah, at some high school. They followed the Tom Brady method that was done in the offseason, but it backfired here. And plus, we also just heard that Stephon Gilmore, the cornerback of the Patriots, also got COVID himself. So it's spreading along the Titans organization, but also looks like it's starting to affect other teams a little bit. What do you guys think about that?
Nick, you want to go first?
Sorry, I didn't hear a word. My speaker just cut out and it came back.
I was wondering,
Nick,
why
what do you
look
think
so
of the COVID?
confused.
COVID ramped up. What do you
COVID,
think?
it's a little nerve-wracking because the Titans 2 more positive tests came out because hopefully it wasn't because they were working out together, which I know
It
they
said it
wanna,
was. No, a
keep
picture came out saying they were working out
No,
in a
but
high
I'm
school
hoping
together.
I'm hoping that wasn't the cause of it spreading. You know what I'm
sure.
saying?
Sure.
Like I know they broke protocol,
Probably
but hopefully like 2. But also it's like they're human beings and they're trying. I saw some Titans players tweet like this isn't their job if they're not working out. Like their families aren't going to have any money all of a sudden. So like I understand the passion behind it. And so I think overall, I mean, the Titan situation is a little worse than what I expected, but we saw, what Stephon Gilmore also tested positive, but it looks like no one else has tested positive. So hopefully, we all knew that there was going to be positive tests. So hopefully on the other teams outside of the Titans, we can kind of keep it to a minimum. And I'm glad the Vikings haven't tested positive, so that's really good. So it's still same thoughts as last week. It's when they're gonna, if they delay the entire everyone a week because they're getting out of control with buys, that's when I'll start to get nervous. I mean, it might be kind of bad for the Titans depending on what kind of talent they can put out on the field, and hopefully it doesn't spread after that. But for now, I'm still the same as last week.
Yeah, the needles moved a tiny bit for me, but hey, these guys are I'm making less than a fraction of what they're making. The fact that you have to go to the high school to work out is the problem. The fact that you have all this money and we get it's your job, but there's tons of gyms you can rent out. Most of these guys have home gyms. The facility has a gym that you're allowed to use. So I'm just not sure why you're doing it at a high school. That's the thing that gets me. If that's where they got it from, obviously we're not going to know, but that makes a lot of sense. It's going to be around those schools. I work in a school. It's definitely there. So I'm just a little upset. Gilmore, I think, had dinner with Cam 2 nights before Cam tested positive.
Right.
I've been fighting the urge all day to take shots just because I'm still, we used to have just an impossible Patriots fan kind of part of our crew who's no longer, but he made us just hate New England. And I wanted to just constantly take shots on Twitter and be like, what about this Patriot way? These guys are supposed to prepare better. They're supposed to know that they can't go out. They're supposed to know they're not supposed to do this better than anybody else in the league because they're the Patriot way. I'm just mentioning it. I'm not taking the shot, but I'm mentioning it. But I like Gilmore, so I hope he's fine. It's a bummer they lose him. Cam too, because I love Cam. But yeah, the needle it's moved a little, but I'm not super nervous yet. Even when, I'll be more nervous when, like when Nick said, when they take a week off. But I think they're prepping to, if we take a week or 2 off, we're coming back. So I think football I think they're going to fight through the entire year, which might be why some coaches are getting fired and some players are getting benched. Maybe they just said, hey, this is a weird year. Let's just instead
be weird.
Yeah. I don't know, but
meanwhile, I'm still as nervous as I was last week, to tell you the truth. I'm more of a panicky guy, though, especially when it comes to all this COVID stuff. So that's just me personally. But the fact that it's pretty bad just for one team, I hate for it to, happen to another team. It's the Patriots, because we just mentioned Cam and Stephon. What if that spreads just as bad as it does for the Titans? But who knows? We don't know at this point. It's always going to be a developing case, and we're just going to have to see how it goes. But I'm kind of with you guys a bit more. I don't think NFL will be canceled. Maybe a week will have to be taken off, a week or 2, which that would be disappointing, but also it will at least, help teams out a lot, not just with COVID, but also just getting ready for, the majority of the season. So for now, I feel bad for Titans fans. That's rough, but, this was bound to happen, and we're seeing how that's progressing, So, again, just got to wait and see how this all shapes out.